Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dominique Martin, a licensed therapist. If you in a relationship, you know that it ain't always smooth sailing. But what happens when the expectations we set for ourselves and our partners become a source of stress, conflict, and even burnout? Today, we're talking about perfectionism in relationships and how that mindset can damage connection and create unrealistic expectations and cause emotional exhaustion. And more importantly, how we can create healthier, happier partnerships. So, first, let's talk about what I mean when I say perfectionism in relationships. So, it's the belief that everything has to be just right. We think our partner should be perfect, our relationship should be perfect, and even we should be perfect. It's this constant striving for perfection. But here's the thing, when we approach relationships with this mindset, we actually set ourselves up for disappointment because perfection doesn't leave room for the normal human imperfections that come with any deep connection. We all gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. The problem is when perfectionism takes over. It doesn't leave room for the real and sometimes imperfect parts of a relationship to unfold. So, all right, let's break this down a bit. So, how can you tell if perfectionism is creeping into your relationship? Because it's not always obvious, but there are definitely signs. So, first, unrealistic expectations. So, you might expect your partner to always know exactly what you need or think your relationship should be smooth all the time. If you holding yourself and your partner to impossible standards, that's a sign. Second is constant criticism. When you caught in the perfectionism trap, nothing seems quite good enough, either your partner or yourself, leading to constant criticism. And this can break down trust and connection over time. Third is avoiding conflict. If you feel like every disagreement is a sign that something is wrong or broken, you might be avoiding conflict to protect the illusion of perfection. Here's the thing, conflict at times is natural, and avoiding it will only create bigger problems down the line. And also defensiveness. So, if you or your partner gets defensive about feedback or suggestions, it could be a sign that perfectionism has taken hold. It's this fear that any critique is an attack on your worth or the relationship itself. Now, it's important to recognize when you or your partner might be feeling the pressure of perfectionism. Here are some signs of struggling with the need to be perfect in the relationship: withdrawing or shutting down. So, if you or your partner are constantly trying to keep things perfect, it may show up as withdrawing emotionally or feeling like showing true feelings or flaws will not be acceptable, which can cause constant anxiety or stress. If partners are constantly walking on eggshells or fearing they'll make a mistake or disappoint a partner, that anxiety can take a toll on mental and emotional health and contribute to low self esteem. So, if you or your partner feel like self worth is tied to how perfect the relationship is, partners might begin to doubt themselves or feel like they're not enough. Let me say this. There's a myth out there that a perfect relationship means one where everything is always happy and easy. And that if we experience any problems, it means it's a sign that something's wrong, or maybe even that the relationship isn't worth keeping. But that's not always true. All relationships have their ups and downs. Struggles are a normal part of growth, and they don't always mean that your relationship is toxic or won't make it. They just mean that something needs attention and needs to be worked through together. So, why does this happen? So, what's at the root of all this perfectionism? Often it's a fear of failure or a deep need for external validation. So we might compare our relationship to others or worry about disappointing our partner or believe that we only worthy of love if everything is perfect. But here's the truth. Perfection is impossible. Relationships are about effort, connection, and growth, not perfection. So, how does perfectionism actually damage relationships? Well, it creates a damaging pattern. So, the more we try to avoid mistakes or conflict, the more we stress about having everything be perfect. And this leads to chronic stress, burnout, and emotional exhaustion. When we constantly fearing conflict or mistakes, you might start to see them as failures rather than part of a natural process of any relationship. And that constant pressure can lead to fear of conflict or mistakes. If every little disagreement feels like a catastrophe, it's hard to be honest and open with each other. Another thing that contributes to perfectionism is unrealistic expectations. Perfectionism makes it difficult to appreciate the small successes in a relationship because you always focus on the next thing that needs fixing. Or internalized guilt or shame also contributes to perfectionism in relationships. So if you or your partner feel like you never enough because of impossible standards, that can cause long-term emotional disconnection. When perfectionism takes hold, it can also lead to some negative coping mechanisms. These are ways of handling the stress, but ultimately they make things worse in the long run. This is a big one, and that's people pleasing. When you try to make your partner happy all the time, you may neglect your own needs and become more disconnected. Overcompensating. So, trying to fix everything on your own, even when it's unnecessary or unrealistic, may create more pressure or emotional withdrawal. So, if you are afraid of being imperfect, you might emotionally shut down, avoiding the vulnerability that's necessary for connection and growth. These behaviors prevent real relationship growth and cause emotional exhaustion. Okay, now that we've identified the problem, let's talk about how to interrupt this perfectionism mindset. Here are some steps to create a healthier, more balanced relationship. So focus on effort, not perfection. Celebrate progress, not perfection. It's about showing up, trying, and learning together. That's what matters most. Also, develop realistic expectations and understand that no relationship is without challenges. When conflict arises, view it as an opportunity to grow, not an automatic sign of failure, and value each other's core self. True connection ain't about meeting impossible standards, it's about accepting your partner for who they are, flaws and all, and embrace the imperfections as part of what makes them who they are. Also, embrace conflict as opportunity and growth. Healthy couples know that conflict is a natural part of a relationship. So don't fear it. Use it to strengthen your bond and also create a safe space for vulnerability. Let your partner feel seen and heard without the fear of judgment, and show empathy and support during difficult times. Also, practice self acceptance. So accept yourself as you are, and it will be easier to accept your partner in the same way. Perfectionism in relationships can lead to burnout, unrealistic expectations, and emotional exhaustion. But it doesn't have to define your relationship. Shift your mindset to focus on progress, effort, and connection. This not only supports resilience, but a more fulfilling relationship. Perfection is an illusion, but connection, growth, and effort are what really make relationships thrive. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more relationship insights. As always, stay motivated, and I'll see you on the next video.